It's the realist.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your guy Realistic, and I'm doing another tutorial here. And on this one here, I'm going to show you how to use this brand new plugin called AutoTune Vocal EQ. Now, it just released, and it is only a part of AutoTune's unlimited subscription plan. They've been doing that recently, where all their really cool plugins like Vocodist and Vocal EQ and Splice and all of that, you can actually only get them if you're a part of the AutoTune Unlimited subscription program. It'd be kind of cool if they did have a standalone, not gonna lie. But the cool thing about AutoTune Unlimited, though, is you do get constant new plugins. They're always releasing new plugins, and they're actually plugins that I've been using a lot. I've actually, since Vocodist dropped last fall, I've been using it on like every single mix that I do, just about. AutoTune Slice is really cool too, especially when it comes to beat making. So there's that benefit. You do get new plugins, and it's just automatically a part of it. And then also too, you just get everything that they have. AutoTune, all versions of AutoTune, including Effects and AutoTune Pro, and then you get Harmony Engine. That's the one, which it's another one that I use a lot on a bunch of stuff. And people like The Weeknd and Ariana Grande, they use the Harmony Engine as well on their records. So that's kind of the benefits of it. And they have like little seminars monthly too, where you just watch some you get like a free seminar that you get to attend, where it's like you watch professionals that have worked with like big names, and they do a live Zoom session, and you get to watch and ask your questions and stuff. So that's all a part of the AutoTune Unlimited plan. So everything has good and bad. So that's the pros of the subscription. The con is we can't just outright buy AutoTune Vocal EQ, but I'm here to show you what the AutoTune Vocal EQ is all about. And I gotta say, man, I love it. I do, man. Whenever a new plugin comes out, I'm very much that guy that's like, I like my stuff that I have. I like, I already have my chains and my go-tos that I'm not usually for it, but man, they won me over on this one. I really, really love this. This is actually one that is going to be in my vocal chain moving forward, just because it does things that other EQs don't do, or it combines my favorite things of other EQs that I wished were all in the same EQ. I do think, personally, I think this is going to be a replacement for Surfer EQ. I think this is just blow Surfer EQ out the water. I think this is a much better version of what that does. So let me go ahead and just kind of show you how this works here and show you this track here. So first thing, man, is you get to resize the window, which is really cool. I like that. Looks great to the plugin. You can change the color too. I know a lot of people are team dark mode. I got super bad eyes, so I know a lot of people make fun of me that I'm always in light mode, but my eyes can't read the dark mode. So yeah, that's the first thing. And then the next thing is, this is really cool. We go up here to input type. A lot of us might know what the input type is for the record, but what it has here is this option to learn. So you just hit the learn button, and it's going to analyze it, and it's going to suggest, based on the frequencies it's hearing, what it thinks that the input type should be. So I already know that this record is going to be low male, because this is a Pharoahe record, and we pretty much exclusively on his vocals have always used low male, just because it sounds the best on his voice. And I have a feeling that if I hit this learn button, it's going to tell us the same thing. So let's go ahead, do that. We hit learn, and all we got to do is just play the record for about 5 seconds, and then it will analyze it. So let's go ahead and hit play.
Back on my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of.
Yep, see, just like I said, it's going to be low male right there. But that's really cool, though. Especially, I think this is going to be really handy, especially when working with a woman singer, especially trying to decide between, alto and soprano. I think it's just, pretty nice to analyze. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first thing that really won me over is it has a dynamic EQ. I live and I die by dynamic EQ. It is, to me, it is a must on. It doesn't matter if it's vocals, pads, bass, kick, snare, whatever it may be. I live and die by dynamic EQ. So I was very happy for that. So let's go ahead and kind of show you that. And then I'll show you in a little bit here what this thing, the really cool thing of what separates it. But let's start out with the basics. So, you got your bands over here. Same thing that we'd have on any EQ here. We can kind of, scope around here. We can scoop, we can boost, kind of that. One thing I am hoping that they do, maybe I might even reach out to my friends at AutoTune and suggest it. I just think it's just something that they overlooked. It's something that I think they could easily do, but unable to change the cue shape with like my mouse. Most EQ plugins, I'm able to just scroll my mouse wheel and it will change the cue shape, or I could hold down command and it will do that. This, unfortunately, I got to go down here and do that. So I just think it's just a small detail that they miss. And I have a feeling that in the future, just updated versions, you just download the new installer and they'll have that added in there. So we'll try to get that going soon. And then just like a lot of EQs too, if you hold down the shift button, you see as I go back and forth, it doesn't move the frequencies like you would, if I don't hold it. So, and what's really cool about that is then you can just, once you find the frequency you don't like, you just hold down shift and then just pull it down without having it worry about it moving your frequency here. So let's go ahead and kind of find some areas that we want to maybe cut on this vocal, and because I always usually start with cutting, and we can really hear what this EQ can do.
Back on my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London, girl, it was better than nothing. Feeling connected to something, I never thought we were rushing. I would've married you, I would've carried you.
All right, so I'm probably going to get to some stuff in the high mid-range in a moment, but I want to go ahead and show you the dynamic section over here. So we got our dynamic section here, so we're on node 3 right now, and it just works just like any other compressor. We're going to just drop down the threshold until it reaches there, so then we know when it starts compressing, and then we have a range to show how much that we're going to reduce it by, and we got the attack and release here for how slow and how fast that it's going to react and how slow and fast that the compression is going to end. So let's go ahead and kind of dial in a little bit there.
Back on my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London.
All right, I'll probably do a dynamic EQ over here on this node 2 as well.
Back on my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your.
And also too, just like any EQ, if we want, we can just solo out frequencies here. So that's an option right here. It's on the side for any node that you select. Let me go ahead and kind of get some areas over here in the higher mid-range. That's always where we got some harshness,
Back on my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London, girl, it was better than nothing. Feeling connected to something, I never thought we were rushing. I would've married you, I would've carried you into
the higher mid-range, I'm a big fan of dynamic EQ on that.
Back on my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you.
And then what's really cool too is it has this other feature here called this Airband right here. Now, you may be familiar with that from an iconic EQ, the Airband, and this does exactly that. And it's really cool. What I like about it is it adds a really beautiful, elegant sparkle to the high end, a nice shimmer, without causing harshness to it. And another thing that's really cool about this is it actually goes above 20K. As humans, we can only really hear up to 20,000 hertz, and be honest, the older we get, it's probably more down like 17 or 18. I'm probably in that 18 to 19K area right now where I'm at. But anyways, this can go past that though. We can actually go all the way up to 40 hertz. And so you may be wondering, like, well, what's the point of that if we can't hear it? Well, what it does is it's going to create harmonics. And so then we're going to get lower harmonics by using this Airband EQ. And so we may boost it way up at like 40 hertz, right? But we're going to hear the lower harmonics being recreated down here, and it's going to give a really nice, beautiful saturation. It's going to sound really great. So let me go ahead and show this to you, because like I said, what I like about it is it adds brightness, but it doesn't sound harsh. There's a lot of EQs out there that when you start adding in this band like this, it starts to create harshness, and this does not do that.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London.
So here's without the Airband.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent.
See how that kind of adds a really nice brightness and sparkle to it? So now let me go ahead and show you one of the key things that just made me fall in love with this plugin right here is this track button right here. This right here is what really separates this from a lot of EQs out there, because it's going to now follow along. Once we hit this track button, the node is going to follow along based on what's resonating the most, which is really cool, right? So when Pharoah's singing this song, you know, maybe because like a lot of times I like to reduce in vocals between that 2 to 3K range. There's usually some type of harshness or annoying frequency in there. So when Pharoah's singing this song, maybe when he says back on my own, maybe there is some more harshness at, like, let's just say 2.3K, right? But then later on in the song, when he says walking the streets out in London, maybe the harshness is actually at 2.7K just for that line, right? And it moves as his performance moves. It's a vocal, it's dynamic, right? So what this will do is it will follow along, and we can either boost or we can cut, and it will follow along. So I'm going to show you how I cut with this technique, and then I'm also going to show you how I boost, because there's a really cool trick here that you're going to get out of this video here that's actually going to just change the way that you EQ here. It's going to change the way that you think about EQ, I should say. So let's go ahead and we'll start with this. Like I said, I want to reduce some harshness, usually in that 2 to 3K range. So we'll just grab the node, and it's going to do all the same things that we normally could. But what we're going to do is we're going to hit this track button. And what this is going to do is it's going to enable our pitch to frequency tracking. And now it's going to follow along based on what it's doing. So for this right here, if we're starting down at our first harmonic here, that's going to be our fundamental note, right? That's going to be like our fundamental frequency here. As we go, it's going to go up to the next order of harmonics. So now for something like where I'm trying to, well, let me show you. If I go at 1, it's going to be more way down here, right?
Know that I'm better.
But as I go up, it's going to go further up.
Know that I'm better alone.
So this harshness that I'm talking about, this is probably going to be more in the 8th harmonic.
Know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my.
So what I'm going to do then is I'm actually going to, I'm just going to boost for a moment just to make sure that that's the annoying frequency that I want to get rid of.
Know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head.
Now let me see the 9th harmonic.
Know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head. No one to.
Okay, so actually now that I did that, I'm actually hearing that it's the 9th harmonic that I'm probably going to want to reduce instead. So I'll get a little bit more of a narrow cue. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down. And here's what's really cool about this, right? Is this ability right here still allows us to engage the dynamic EQ. So as it's moving along, it can also compress down the frequency. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll just dial in some dynamic here.
Know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London.
Yeah, so it's just kind of moving along that you can see right here on node 2.
Know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get.
which is just really clutch. Like that's just such a perfect addition to an EQ. Okay, now I'm gonna show you a technique when it comes to boosting, and this is actually a technique that I've been using for a while to add some warmth and some body to a vocal. And it's a very tricky area because in this area where this is where a lot of muddiness, a lot of boominess is there as well. It can create a lot of resonant buildup. So it's like it's tricky, but if you can do it right, you now have a really nice, beautiful warmth, really good, well-rounded body to the vocal. And so this is a technique actually that my mentor, Amon Jackson, had showed me a while back ago, and what he calls it as creating an anchor in the low end of the vocal. And so I'll show you here what we're doing is what we're going to do is we're going to boost, and we're going to create a pretty narrow cue here. That's the anchor, right? We don't, no, a lot of times when we boost, we actually do use a wider cue, but for this particular technique, I like to do a narrower EQ because it's just going to kind of boost this one fundamental area that we're looking for. It'll make sense in a moment. But this is where this EQ is so clutch, is because this now allows me to do with this anchor technique that I've always wanted to do. Now we can just follow the fundamental frequency. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch this note over to track, and I'm just actually going to keep it right at 1. I want it to follow the fundamental frequency.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound.
So that's an exaggerated boost, so you can kind of hear what I'm going for.
On my own, know that I'm better.
All right, so let me kind of pull that down because I'm probably only going to really boost by, 2 to 3.
On my own, know that I'm better alone.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do upward compression instead of downward compression because I want it to enhance this fundamental frequency that we're doing down here for this anchor.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone.
So what's really cool is that this is now following this fundamental frequency down in his voice. Is tracking the pitch. So now it's moving, so that anchor that I want to create down in the low end for the body now can move with his performance, right? And this was the big selling point for me. So let me go ahead and I'll show you without our quote unquote anchor. It's not an official word. You won't see it in like a textbook or anybody else. It's just something that Amon and I say in the studio. Here we go. Here's without it.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone.
Just adds a little bit more warmth to it, just a little bit more body here. Okay, so then last year I might find a little area that I want to boost, to just kind of sweeten some stuff up.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't.
And then maybe I can kind of clean up a little harshness too.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London, girl, it was better than nothing. Feeling connected to something, I never thought we were rushing. I would've married you.
Okay, so that's pretty much what we got dialed up here. If I wasn't doing a tutorial and I was really, just doing the long, tedious thing, there's probably some areas that I'd clean up here, as I always do with vocals. But with that in mind, let's still go ahead and do an A/B listen, because even without those tedious adjustments, I'm sure you'll be able to notice a difference in the clarity that we were able to accomplish with this EQ here. So here's without it.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London, girl, it was better than nothing. Feeling connected to something, I never thought we were rushing. I would've married you.
All right, now let me go ahead and just solo the vocal, so then you can kind of hear what it's doing. So we'll start without it.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London, girl, it was better than nothing. Feeling connected to something I never thought would.
Yeah, it just adds a lot of really beautiful sparkle and clarity to it. I think it adds like just a lot more elegance. And yeah, again, what really got me was the tracking ability for it to be able to follow along based on the pitch that it's analyzing. I think that, to me, that's a game changer, and that's why it's going to be in my actual chain here. And of course, like any EQ, we're going to have our high pass and low pass filter here. I should have started out with that, but I was all excited to get into, the tracking feature. But, obviously this is where usually start with some type of high pass filter on there, especially with vocals.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head.
And then the last thing here that I'll just kind of point out, it has this cool little tilt band here. If you're familiar with tilt bands, it's basically gonna just be like a seesaw. So if we boost the high end, it's going to reduce the low end. Same thing if we go the other way, as we boost the high end, it's going to reduce the low end. So let me go ahead and just show you that. This is what this little X knob is.
On my own, know that I'm better alone. No one to fuck in my head, no one to get in my zone. Don't like it when I get silent, don't like the sound of your tone. Like I ain't stay at your home, like I ain't help you alone. Walking the streets out in London, girl, it was better than nothing. Feeling connected to something I never thought we were rushing. I would've married you, I would've carried you into the next phase of life. Well, we might.
Yeah, so that's just what the little X band here does. Just lots of really useful tools that you'll find on an EQ that will just make your life a lot easier. Then just the last thing over here is we got a wet dry. Maybe asking, why would I want a wet dry on an EQ? That's kind of weird. A lot of it is because of the effects that it does, especially with the tracking that it does. It just allows you that if you want to have a little bit less of that, that's over here, which is pretty cool. And then of course also too, we have our input and our output too. So if we want to churn, the signal going in, or if we want to control the signal after all the processing has happened as well. And then you probably even seen over here sidechain, just like you would with any sidechain. You can have it be your just have it internal. It's wherever your dynamic is going to be for the compressor. This is for the compressor, by the way. It's going to compress based on what the signal's doing. But if we have external, like let's say, for instance, we just, I don't know, sent a kick drum to it, right? Well, then the kick drum is going to control it just like we would with any side chain. And, you just set your key input up to here, and then, just go from there. Just like you would with any of them, with any type of sidechain. But yeah, this is AutoTune's new plug-in vocal EQ. I love it. Like I said, this is actually going to be in my chain moving forward, which is, that's a big thing. That's a big feat, because I've had my favorite go-to plugins that I've been sticking with for years. So for something to actually go into my regular chain means that this is a really good plugin. So like I said, though, it is a part of AutoTune Unlimited, which of course is a subscription plan, but the benefit is you do get access to plugins as they release them, and they're always trying to release new plugins. Since they rolled out AutoTune Unlimited, they've released like three to five new plugins within like the last year, just to kind of sweeten the pot. So over time, it does make it worth it, and you do get the AutoTune Pro, all versions of AutoTune, and EFX, and the Harmony Engine, and Vocodus, which is their take on a vocoder, which in my opinion is the best vocoder out there. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I use it on every single session. If you do want to check out AutoTune Unlimited, I do have a link in the description below if you want to go ahead and check that out. And hopefully this video was useful for you. Until next time.
It's the realest.